All right, welcome into the Daily Fix on a Monday as a crazy NFL Sunday concluded by the Kansas City Chiefs finding another way, maybe pissing off people all around the country because the Chiefs find ways to win, and this time off the crossbar. I don't know if we'll talk about this or something, but what is it, Steve? Since Harrison Butker, who has been practicing and kicking, should be back in a couple of weeks, maybe after this week for the Texan game, they are 10 of 11 with two kickers um, in field goals and have had to have game winners the last, two out of the last 3 weeks against Carolina and Sunday against the Chargers from two different kickers.
No,
Like this is
and it took just a botched snap against the Raiders.
Yeah, I'm just looking at the kicker situation right now. And how many field goals? He made 3 in that one. The only field goal that has been missed by those two kickers, not named Harrison Butker, is a 56-yarder at the end of the half that was online just short in a cold day. Like just craziness what they're able to get. And I mean, right at some point you got to give some credit to the scouting department from scouting. Maybe they're just lucky scouting these kickers, but it is insane what has happened. But first thing I want to do, however you're taking this in and listening to us, we appreciate you. If you're on Twitter, thank you for listening. If you are on YouTube, we appreciate that. One thing we do want you to do and need you to do is head to our YouTube channel, like and subscribe at Foolish Club Media, the Daily Fix, with myself, that guy in that little box you heard talking, Steve Serta, in his rightful place. You can catch all of our stuff daily. You can catch all of the content that we put out on Foolish Club Media. If you can like and subscribe, that would be huge for us. Not going to hold you long, as we always do. And Steve, I'm telling you, we'll get to this. Every single time that I am trying to scream to the hills for Saquon Barkley, that so eloquently put, as Sean McVay called him, that alien comes out and does something to just shut me up. So we'll get into the MVP point. Pat needs if you've been rocking with us for a minute, we had a little special thing that got us on NFL Network and the Rich Eisen show about Pat needs Pat, with me standing in front of Arrowhead. Now, Steve, Pat needs Steve. We'll discuss that in a bit too. But first, I want to get to this. Listen, the Chiefs are, if you give me my 2 minutes, are 12-1. They have won 18 out of their last 19 games. They have won 10 one-score games, and they win again 19-17, identical score of yesterday's game. And listen, if you missed us, we did the post-game show together last night. Fantastic. I would urge you go back and check it out. But Serta, I'm not going to lie to you. I thought this was going to be the one. And if you listen to me on Show and BK, I didn't think going into the game, actually exactly how I predicted the game would go is actually how it went. I said, I think the game will be close because all the Chiefs games are close, and I just trust Patrick Mahomes and Andy Reid at the end to get it done. And that's exactly what happened. But in the game, Serta, I thought, well, this is the one. This is the game, especially like even at 6-0. Like I could tell they were close, and it to me looked like the Chargers offense wasn't going to be able to do anything with the Chiefs defense. I thought that was going to be the story coming out of the game, is that the Chiefs defense returned back to being the dominant defense it has been over the last 2 years. And Trent McDuffie, who went off and played his ass off. And at 13-0, I thought this was finally going to be the game. This is it, in which the Chiefs would put forth a performance in which you're like, yep, that's a performance within recent history that I believe the Chiefs can go and give me evidence that they can go win a Super Bowl. I thought this was going to be the one. I thought the second half was going to be something like 10-13-3. in the second half. And I thought the Chiefs were going to win in a dominant fashion with their defense. 20-something to 3 is what I thought this puppy would do. But nope, they still have not really put forth a performance recently, sort of, that says, hey, this is a team that can win it all. The reason why we believe they can win it all is very fair and understandable, is because they have won it all, and they've won 18 of 19, and they've won back-to-back championships, and they're trying to go for a three-peat, and they have the best record in the league, and they are too clear of anybody in the AFC and have a 77% chance to get the 1 seed. But they have not recently, and I mean since maybe the first game of the season, or maybe if you want to say the Saints game, have not shown a performance of recent value that says that's a team that can win it all. And I thought this one was going to be it, and then the Chargers just started going off on the defense in the second half, and the Chiefs just didn't possess the ball really that much in the third quarter.
Yeah, I mean, and Justin Herbert was fantastic, and playing without Ladd McConkey and the cast of weapons that he has, and no J.K. Dobbins, like, it was just a pretty typical Chiefs performance, but they get it done when they have to, again, and that's really all you can keep saying about this team, because they keep getting it done when they absolutely have to.
Steve, do you think we will get a performance before the year ends that says to us, bam, that's a performance in which we look at it and say, yep, that's just a little bit of proof that they are a team that can win it all?
I kind of think at the beginning of the year, I thought it was going like the Houston Texans was going to be like one of the biggest matchups of the season. And now it feels like that's aligning to be maybe the easiest game that they have left on the schedule. Like, I know the Browns' record is bad, but Jameis has been interesting, and that pass rush, Myles Garrett, is going to give you some problems. I know the Texans have a really good pass rush too, but the Chiefs can win that matchup against their offensive line. So I guess maybe it's the Texans, because I don't think it's going to be against the Steelers or the Broncos the way that they're playing right now.
No, but I mean, even in those games, like, it could be close, sort of, but I mean, just a performance in which you're like, that's it. Like the Ravens game week 1 was a performance to me because of the opponent and how they played. Well, that's a team that you can win it all.
Yeah.
You put up 27, you left some stuff out there, and they scored 20. Like, that's and you withstood it with Lamar going off. I just, like, I want to see a performance that just gives us proof, and not that we're leaning on the past. All right. Pat needs Steven Nelson. Steven Nelson, according to reports, Ian Rappaport, the last one I saw, Steven Nelson apparently is going to visit the Chiefs today. The Chiefs could add free agent cornerback Steven Nelson, who visits today. The rich could get richer. In season, the Chiefs have already added DeAndre Hopkins, Josh Uche, Kareem Hunt, DJ Humphries, and now potentially Steven Nelson. And sort of, this is just something that they have to get done. I listened to Steven Nelson talk about his part and saying that, got the call, and he said he was heading to have a visit and a workout with him. And look, I've said this, on this very show and on other shows on platforms of this Foolish Club Media, I have been talking about Steven Nelson. I've talked about Steven Nelson, Xavier Howard, and I would feel better about Steven Nelson. I have watched Steven Nelson play every single game the last 2 years with the Houston Texans. And if he is playing anywhere near that level, it would be an enormous upgrade to what the Chiefs have on the field. Derek Stingley is a very, very talented player. Over the last 2 years, it is easy to understand that Steven Nelson has been that team's most consistent corner over the last couple of years. And him, opposite of McDuffie or wherever, and you've talked about it, we've talked about it, the ability to put him, and we'll see. And now Joshua Williams potentially has a concussion and could miss a game, or who knows, even enhances this even more. The ability to have coverage downs Like last night, we saw multiple times in coverage downs to have Steven Nelson, and then if you want to slide McDuffie back into the slot where he is great, and then Joshua Williams or hell, even Najee Johnson, whatever, to the ability to have that would change things in a major way, because right now they are forced. I don't think they are, but they feel that their best option is to have Shamari Connor in coverage on one of these. And to me, that would change the game big time. Veach and Andy have to, not can't look, they have to get this done.
I totally agree. They have to get it done.
Have to.
It's just simply like, and you hope Joshua Williams, who had been playing well the last 2 games prior to getting hurt last night, like you hope he gets back and is good to go here down the stretch, because he's obviously important to the Chiefs cornerback room. And then I think you're even better with Najee Johnson, who's really struggled. Like you're even better with him, at least on the field, over Shamari Connor, who is a straight up liability in coverage. The Chiefs just have to get him off the field. And we even saw last night, I mentioned it on the postgame show, I think, like, Brian Cook has really been struggling in coverage and has been getting torched down the field. And we saw Jaden Hicks kind of play like his biggest snap count of the year last night against the Chargers. Like, the Chiefs are moving things around in the secondary. They're trying to make adjustments and see what they have in some of these other players, because it's been such a struggle. And you just need a veteran player out there that is going to be reasonably consistent and be able to actually get like one-on-one coverage and not be a total liability the way that Shamari Connor is.
You got to have the ability for Spags to want to call defense the way that Spags wants to call defense. And he is unable to do so. And he's kind of stubborn a bit and continue to do it anyway. Try to do it anyway. So they've got to get this done. All right. Finally, right, is the MVP in the bag, sort of? I mean, is this over?
Like, it would appear so with 4 games left.
Listen, man, and look, Josh Allen's numbers, even with his insane day yesterday, his numbers aren't, crazy. And honestly, Saquon Barkley's numbers for a running back are crazy, and he has to average 120 yards rushing over the next 4 games for him to pass Eric Dickerson's all-time rushing record. So, I mean, and that's in play, not to mention also what he does in the passing game. And that if you looked at Josh Allen's numbers, that would scream MVP, but it's not. Every time I try to scream, it should be Saquon. It should be Saquon. Josh Allen has the moment against the Chiefs and has the biggest win of anybody in the league. And that moment and the finish, the dismount of him running through the Chiefs to have the go-ahead touchdown, and for him to be able to do what no other team has been able to do here lately, and that is get a lead and handing the ball to Patrick Mahomes with like under 2 minutes left and him having to get 2 scores. He was able to pull that off. And then yesterday against the Rams in a shootout that they lost, by the way, but in a shootout, this joker throws for 340 plus, no interceptions, 3 passing touchdowns, and 3 rushing touchdowns with 10 carries and over 80 yards. I mean, I really believe Saquon is having an MVP caliber year. But now I look at who the hell he's throwing the ball to. I mean, he threw a touchdown pass to some guy named Johnson that my son had to put on his fantasy team because he didn't realize he had a couple of guys on a bye week, and he just had to throw him in, and that guy got him big points because Josh flung the ball to him. I mean, it is insane. He is, what was it? Lamar won a unanimous MVP. I don't think he will, because Saquon's season is so impactful right now and big, but he to me is the clear MVP.
Yeah, and this is Josh Allen's like over his dead body season, like where he is just elevating everyone on that offense. And it doesn't really matter who, Amari Cooper, who's been banged up, Keon Coleman has been banged up, and it doesn't really matter who the Bills are putting in for these games. Josh Allen's elevating everyone within their offense because he is just playing out of his mind this season. Like,
and
at this point, he deserves it.
and he's fixed his biggest flaw, and he's just not turning the ball over. Like he's not. That was always something you could almost depend on him to help you, and he doesn't help you anymore. Hi, Mom and Courtney.